Once upon a time, there was an ant named Miriam. She was hard-working, but at the end of her daily tasks, she took a stroll through the forest, unleashing her acidity on every animal that crossed her path. Each day, the majestic golden fish of the creek received her hurtful words in its aquatic dance. "How lazy you are, Golden One, with your size, and yet how slow you swim," Miriam would say. The once joyful and lively fish now seemed to have lost its shine, with eyes as sad as the depths of the creek. The colorful feathered bird with a melodious song was another favorite target. "Why do you fly so low?" the ant would exclaim. "With such tremendous wings, you fail to make the most of them. You should be ashamed." Each time she heard this, the bird felt its wings heavier and its song less vibrant. The butterfly, symbol of beauty and transformation, was also a victim of her sharp tongue. "Conceited exhibitionist," Mrs. Miriam would accuse. "Always shamelessly showing off, flitting around for all to see. You should learn some respect." The butterfly, once proud of its beautiful design, now felt ashamed, hiding among the flowers, fearful of harsh criticism. Yet it was somewhat grateful to the ant, thinking that Miriam was doing it a favor by drawing attention to it, as surely everyone must have thought the same. But the ant was the only one who said it out loud. Meanwhile, deep in the heart of the forest, a group of squirrels was plotting to rescue the kidnapped bunnies. They knew they needed someone with special skills, someone who could move with agility and speed, both on land and in the air. One of the squirrels proposed Miriam as the ideal candidate. Despite knowing of her sharp tongue and piercing criticisms, they recognized her bravery and unique abilities. However, not everyone was convinced that Miriam was the right choice. Some feared her abrasive attitude could complicate the mission and affect team morale. But despite the doubts, the squirrels decided to give Miriam a chance and set out to convince her to join their cause. Yet, they knew they had been punished with the ant's words several times before. The pair of loving rabbits, with their numerous offspring, were not spared from immoral and irresponsible criticisms. "So many children just live to cuddle each other, and the worst part is they have more children, and I don't think they even know how to take care of them properly," Miriam complained. The poor rabbits, once happy and loving, now felt ashamed, their eyes filled with sadness whenever they looked at their offspring. But the next day, the forest was plunged into tragedy. The newborn bunnies had been captured by a vulture. The animals gathered, whispering in dismay and shedding tears of sadness, offering support to the parents and pondering a solution. "You see, this is what happens when you're so irresponsible," Mrs. Miriam said to the rabbits. "Why have so many children if you don't know how to take care of them?" Her words fell like a blanket of ice on the onlookers, who looked in horror at the little consideration the ant had for the grieving parents. The voice of an animal interrupted the silence. "Well, the important thing now is to know who will help us rescue the rabbits before they meet a terrible fate." To this, another attendee added, "That's right, but we need someone who can fly to reach the nest and who can swim to escape to a place where the vulture can't follow. And of course, it must be someone with impeccable morals so that the vulture thinks twice before retaliating against him or her." "Miriam," said the bird with a defiant sparkle in its eyes. "She is perfect for the job, aren't you, Miriam? You always have something to say about how we birds fly. You should be quite the expert in flight." The fish, in turn, also nominated the ant for the rescue mission. "I agree. Since you always criticize our swimming, surely you are a great swimmer yourself, so there's no better candidate for the job." Finally, the rabbits also suggested, "And well, since she always criticizes us for how immoral we are, surely you must be the most impeccable creature in the whole forest. Neither the vulture nor anyone else would dare go against someone as perfect as you." All eyes turned to the critical ant, who for the first time was left speechless as she searched for a way out. Because everyone insisted that she was the only one capable of achieving it, after so much insistence, Mrs. Ant exploded. "Hey, but I can't fly, swim, and I'm not perfect either. I've made many mistakes in my life. I can't do that." Nevertheless, this did not calm the crowd, who continued to insist that only someone perfect like her could be as relentless a critic as she used to be. Frustrated and cornered, Miriam finally revealed the truth behind her critical attitude. "Please stop. The truth is, I only envy your abilities. That's all," confessed the ant with tears in her eyes. "I envy your ability to fly, to swim, to love, and to be loved. That's all. The worst and what saddens me the most is that I can't save those little ones. I'm so sorry, really." Those words left everyone present in a silence of astonishment mixed with anger, for they had allowed those criticisms to overshadow their lives for so long, to embarrass them and make them suffer. It was then that Antonio, the armadillo, seeing the desperation of the ant, stepped forward. "Don't worry, Miriam," he said with a kind smile. "The bunnies are fine. Nothing has happened to them. All this has been a lesson for you and for us, because we must not allow criticisms like yours to affect us, because really, as we can all see, they only reflect the lack of the one who issues them." Miriam had nothing but to bow her head. But the butterfly, still shocked, asked why Miriam had always been tougher on her than anyone else, to which Mrs. Ant, still sobbing, responded very simply, "Because you're happy, little butterfly, and honestly, that's what I envy most of all." The forest fell into total silence, but now there was no fury, only a deep pity for the little ant. From that day on, the forest was no longer the same. The animals, once fearful and ashamed, no longer allowed the criticisms of the ant or anyone else to affect them, understanding that behind every hurtful word is a dissatisfied heart, not even worth feeling angry towards those who seek to hurt us with words like those. For there is no unhappier person than a fault finder, and those kinds of people only deserve our pity, in the hope that, like the critical ant to Miriam, someday they will realize that you don't need to make others feel bad to feel good about yourself. It's sad and regrettable to see how even today there are people who stop living their best life, cease to be their best selves because of what others might say, for fear of being judged or because they have allowed the disdain of others to make them doubt their own worth. But what's even more lamentable is that we still believe that criticizing others, pointing out our neighbor's faults, or judging the actions of our peers are signs of greatness or deserving respect, when it's quite the opposite. There's no greater sign of lowliness than the one who needs to tear down others to lift themselves up. I'm not suggesting we remain silent in the face of negativity or scrutinize every word that comes out of our mouths. That's not the solution either. Instead, before speaking about others even once, let's examine ourselves 5 times. Let's point out our neighbor's mistakes as we would like ours to be pointed out, and let's offer our peers the understanding that we ourselves desire to receive. But we've reached the end of the video. I invite you to share the story with others who may need it and give us a like, as your support helps us grow. See you in the next video.